You think we can start talking now? Kidsquidy, Blink Adi? Is it safe? Awesome. Hi guys, hi everybody. Everybody that's listening or tuning in. Welcome to week 5 of Unlabel season 1. That's a lot of numbers, but essentially all we do is get together a bunch of artists and people that are interested in art and are into Web3 and just shoot the wind for half an hour. Uh, there's two ways to approach this, right? But first, where are my manners? My apologies. I'm Anand. I'm the co-founder and CEO of eDAO. eDAO is essentially a gentle barge or a ferry that transports brands and creators and fans across Web 2 and Web 3. We do that in a variety of ways, but the funnest way that we've discovered yet is by hooking in to artists and what they create and their fan bases. That has turned out to be the most fun engagement that we've had with Web3 and the Web2 spaces. There's two ways to approach conversations like these usually. I've done a bunch of podcasts and I ran something called NFT radio in a past life. Either you completely cram up on research about your guests and then go in with a bunch of hard-hitting questions, or you go in completely blank. I've done both. And when it comes to artists, especially, I find that option 2 works best. So I have no shame in admitting that I know very little about kidsquidy and blinkitup, and a little bit, tiny little bit about Adi. So I'm really looking forward to understanding their journeys and what they want to do with life and in the Web3 space. Very quick intros. I've got a little bit of content about each of you guys. Feel free to rip it apart later. But first off, we have Aaron Printo, who goes by the moniker kidsquidy. He's a multidisciplinary visual artist, and his work is revered for the use of bright colors and for morbid themes. Interesting. His style has evolved over time, and he leans more towards lowbrow and pop surrealism with a penchant for the macabre. Brilliant. Welcome, kidsquidy. And he is collaborating with Harsh Patel, Urf Blinkitup, who's a visual artist. He's a self-taught visual artist specializing in 3D design, animation, and AVs. He defines his art as wanting to investigate the uncanny and disorienting influences of digital technologies. I will accept some of the blame for that, as they interrupt traditional perceptions of self, order, and place. Amazing. Welcome, Harsh. And our very special guest here is Aditya Mehta from Art&Found. He's a founder of Art&Found. He started this platform as a side project while working at Ogilvy as a senior art director. Surrounded by incredibly talented artists, designers, illustrators, and photographers, Aditya wanted to build a platform to monetize their art beyond likes, comments, and shares. Awesome. Welcome to Web3. Great, guys. Before we kick off the conversation, I will complete the last bit of my monologue, which is about the Unlabel program itself, which we are very passionate about. Unlabel, like the name suggests, is like an alternative to artists who are stuck in this little loop, which is a very sort of a vicious circle or in a sense, predatory loop that artists find themselves in the Web2 environment. We just heard about Art&Found, the idea is to offer an alternative and a viable means of monetizing your work and of reaching your fans directly. And that's where Unlabel comes in. The program is very simple. Over 8 weeks, 8 NFT artists or 8 established artists, in this case, kidsquidy, right? They collaborate with 8 non-NFT artists or artists from the Web2 space. They create 8 works of art, and we put them on the front page of the new internet, which is, in this case, the front page of Wearable. And that's how we essentially launch non-NFT artists, not by ourselves, but through a very beautiful collaboration with existing artists. With that, welcome again. And we have 30 minutes to scotch the screen. So let's get started. Adi, you want to say hi? Go first.
Hey guys, great intros, Anand, and fantastic work. I know Aaron, we've worked with him before, and Blink would love to see your work. I'm actually, waiting to, after this session, just check out your work. So I'm going to do that. Love animation, motion graphics, and, we're experimenting a lot with the artists we work with and the brands we collaborate with to explore that medium. And it's very interesting how mediums are being interspersed, from Web 2 into Web 3. So I think the collaboration between you two is going to be extremely powerful. And of course, we met in New York 3 weeks ago and just had a fantastic conversation with him and his colleagues. And yeah, just, I guess it was like an Insta session of Insta, and just brainstorming ideas and yeah, just so many possibilities. And I love what Ida was doing and Unlabel. I think there's a great mission. My conversations with Anand and Meru and team have been amazing. So yeah, looking forward to this.
Beautiful. I want to kick this off with a question to kidsquidy. You have some experience in the Web3 space. How did you stumble upon it? Was it through a friend, or was it like a natural progression for the kind of art you were doing?
I mean, I'm online all the time. I guess as an artist and the kind of art that I do, I'm online all the time. And just when I saw that whole, I wasn't aware of the NFT space earlier, but then when the people collection dropped, that was when I became really aware about what's happening with the NFT space and everything like that. So from there, my intrigue peaked. And from I just wanted to get more into it, just understand it, study it. Also for me as a digital artist, previously I had no outlet, as in, because I'm not a traditional artist. I rather I work online all the time. So there was never really an outlet. People really don't want to take printouts of your, images and city space really was like something that appealed to me, like was calling out to me, like this is finally something where I can sell my art and it's going to be showcased how I want it to be showcased and stuff like that. So from there, I just kept, researching, getting into it. And I think it's like an early mover in that place, in that scene. But yeah, that's how I got through. I think people was entry for a lot of people, artists in general also.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, a lot of graphic artists and digital artists, they were massive fans of Beeple. Obviously, initially I didn't understand why, but then the whole concept of everydays, from my perspective, incidentally, for those who came in late, I'm one of the two guys that bought the $69 million Beeple piece back in March 21. Our relationship with Beeple's art and his ethos spanned a little before that as well. The reason I love Beeple as an artist or his work is not necessarily the themes that he brings in. I have an alternative point of view on that. It's that his art effectively represents his journey as an artist, right? That's the fascinating part. He puts himself out there. He's got almost this spiritual commitment to making sure that he puts out one work of art every day. It's incredibly hard to do. I mean, we don't even we can't even go like a whole year without missing a few days of even brushing our teeth. Sometimes we do skip that. It happens, right? But to do this on a constant basis, I thought was inspiring. And the end of his journey also was like, you can, it's like a metaphor for the digital generation, right? You can start anywhere, but if you keep at it, you're going to hit the end of the rainbow, whether it's at the end of 1 year or 13. So brilliant. Thanks for reminding me of that. It's good.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
And
I think there's a great quote by people like this thing, like sit the fuck down and great things will happen.
Yeah, I can imagine him saying that. It's true. And here's another little nugget, right? One of the things people said to me was that, and this is, he does not believe in the idea of inspiration striking you from some other place, which I found fascinating. I mean, it is at the very core of what artists do, right? It's how art works, essentially. It is inspiration from the outside. But I think his point of view is like, you got to be prepared for that all the time. You just have to put in the work, because inspiration isn't something you have control over. So you can't take credit for it. The only thing you can take credit for is like Blink said, sit the fuck down and start work. That was another fascinating aspect. What do you think of the space, Blink It Up?
as like, as Karen said, people was also a very big inspiration to me, as I also use the same programs, same techniques. And he started also doing a lot of making VJ loops and stuff like that. That's how he got famous. And the initial stage, he used to like go to these parties and like do set up like his computer and start doing some things and start making those weird videos, which now people play on the music concerts and stuff. Like, I also come from that particular background, and my journey was quite a little bit similar in that way. So I kind of quite relate a lot. And then when the whole boom thing happened, like it was quite a game changer for like a lot of like digital artists in generally to promote themselves. Like for me also, like before, I remember when like before the whole NFT was a boom, like I used to do a lot of optical asylum where it's a kind of a space where you exhibit your work to other people, like some of the cities around in Bombay, Pune and all. So like I was a little out of the odd in that space because my main art is oriented in a 3D space, and then the rest of the artists were like, in a way I can say Aaron makes a lot of art related, which is kind of fall into both medium, like in traditional and that other zone also. But mine was like a little out of the space, and people used to come and see, and there was a very different expression, and you can see that like they are not sure what to do with these things. But now after when the NFT is out, like there are like n number of possibilities of this thing. Like now the art which I make can be featured at a billboard, or like it can be presented at a digital gallery. It can be used as a concept visuals itself. It can be like used as a digital asset. Like in future, I'm thinking this whole course of presenting art is from the flat painting to a digital painting presented in a like a screen is gonna be there. So like there's a number of possibilities to like dive into, like for sure, I guess.
Great. Adi, can you speak a little about this? Because I think this must have been the idea of representing art in multiple forms and of the possibilities around it. I think the patterns that prompted you to sort of, found Art&Found.
Sorry, what was the last bit? You were getting like
okay. I was asking you what patterns did you notice in the space and with the artists that you work with and saw that sort of inspired you or prompted you to create Art&Found?
Yeah, so for me, it was, the early inspiration was Behance and, Scott Belsky, what he did with Behance, how he founded it, which is simply to, build a platform to showcase creative work. So that for me was a, big mission that's like evolving and, being solved, right, for the creative industry. And from there, I saw an opportunity to monetize that work. And that's essentially the crux of why Art&Found started. It was like all this like cool art on Behance can be in our homes, like as simple as that. Because it was also like, this new age art, it was graphic, it was like, collage and minimal and whatnot. And, there's this generational shift, right? Like how art is being consumed. So from traditional media to more graphic and digital art forms by new age artists, and essentially wanted to build a platform for millennials to own art in the spaces they live and work in, created by artists in this space. And the evolution of digital art is of course what NFTs and Web3 has brought about. And that's where medium exploration is happening so much, right? From 2D static to 3D motion graphics, and now very interestingly with AI, like we've seen like what AI can do, like with something like a mid journey. You literally punch in like a bunch of keywords and giving you like super high fidelity, super accurate art, and essentially like making anyone a creator, right? Plus, the value or add on top is that gives you rights to go and monetize it, like usage rights, etc. All that comes in. So for me, it's interesting to see that evolution and like where do I fit in where does Art&Found fit in, like
Mm-hmm.
that sweet spot in the middle where it can help artists monetize their work and millennials
Nice.
and Gen Z to own that work.
Interesting. I just want to double click on the AI aspect that you mentioned, right? And this is, I want to point this at kidsquidy and Blink. How do you guys feel about these AI tools? Right. I mean, I've had like very virulent reactions both ways. Some artists are like completely, nah, it doesn't matter, indifferent to it. Others do feel somewhat threatened by the trend. I don't know how you guys feel about
I'm in the middle because
I think I sent link to you na, for one of our project. I think we can use it.
yeah. So the thing is, I'm with it and I'm against it also in a way because it's taken me years to really master my skill, figure out how to paint, pull these strokes and do this. And now I just put in some keywords and like there's these fully rendered artworks that I'm seeing, and it's taken me years to create that. So in a way, sometimes when I look at it, I'm like, why did I like it's a mind fuck, right? When you see it's being processed so fast. But on the other hand, I've always been like of the opinion that I need to evolve with the times. I need to adapt to what's happening and embrace it and not like shun it. And that's been my kind of thing that's gotten me till where I am right now. So I'm not like stuck in one zone. I can adapt. I'm like a chameleon at that point. But I will use it to a certain extent, but I'm not the biggest fan right now of it because I can see like I'm not being threatened, but I'm just like I've worked so long to do this and now this shit's come and like annoying the fuck out of me.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I wanted to ask you, how important then is finding your own authentic voice in the space, right? Because it is high fidelity work. The renders are really realistic. You can put in very complex keywords also, say like late 17th century Rembrandt style with a South Indian touch and with a little bit of Baroque architecture thrown in, and it'll still throw up something that speaks to all of these keywords. The renders great, but is there still, like you said, the evolution that you spoke about, is that more to do with how you use the technology, or is it finding your authentic voice, which is impossible then to match for the AI?
I mean, I think after a point it's going to get saturated. There's only certain amount of that it's going to produce one kind of style at some point, because what I've been seeing right now, it's just a certain kind of style, but I'm guessing it evolves because that's what it's meant to do. For me, what I've built up till now, like when you see my work, I think a lot of people say, bro, that's a kidsquidy work, that's a kidsquidy artwork and stuff like that. So that's how I try to distinguish myself from the pack. But I don't know. I think it's a very the edges the lines are getting blurred. That's all I can say at this point. Everything's like everyone's a creator at this point.
that is a scary thought, isn't it? It's like everybody's a writer, everybody's a journalist, everybody's it does take the wind out of your sails sometimes. But then, like you said, the idea is to evolve. I mean, Adi, give me a sense, right? You're at least from the creator aspect of it. Some things are clear. You sit right in the middle at the monetization part of it, and distribution for art is going to blow up, right? Now, what the NFT space has done is to legitimize digital art for the first time. You no longer think of yourself as artist, digital artist, graphic artist. It's just artist all the way through, right? That also helps you to like super proliferate artwork and distribute it and scale it up in a way that might be reminiscent of what Spotify did to music. I don't know. So do you fear that happening to art, that kind of saturation and thereby a dilution in value?
See, I think if you look back, the evolution of the creator economy, if you did, something like Instagram made everyone a photographer. But, it's like what? Sharing photos, but it technically made everyone a photographer. because it gave them cool, like, filters and shit. Like suddenly my bad photo looks great. Medium made everyone a writer. Substack made everyone a writer and monetized. Canva made not just, the brand marketer, but a regular non-designer, a great designer. So, essentially, everyone wants to be a creator, and you're not going to take that away. If you give somebody the tools to create and make it look great and help them monetize, your home. And every platform, every brand, every company wants to hit the North Star, which is like optimum user base, right? So we're going to keep seeing that, right? But that's different, it's this conversation, it's that narrative of, will AI take my job away, right? But it's not going to, like, we know that. And, it's this specialist generalists, space that impacts you, like, where are you at? So if you're a specialist, like Blink or Aaron, it's not going to impact that because, sure, everyone's a creator, but I know I'm going to go to kidsquidy because of that work, that he does. And, an AI tool or a Canva or a Midjourney is never going to be able to create that. Plus, I don't want that. I don't want that sort of there's no story there, right? And storytelling will always remain. You can't automate story. You can't AI storytell, right? Advertising tried that. It didn't work. It tried to replace art directors and copywriters and try to come up with, like, literally they tried this, like, to crack an award-winning Cannes or one show ad or campaign, with AI. It didn't work. It's there, like, for novelty or whatever, experimentation, but essentially human storytelling will not be replaced by AI. So, I feel like it's just something to have fun with and evolve with, and, to know how to use it to your advantage.
Brilliant. I think you made a really nice point there. If I can just pull on that thread a little, I feel it also matters who you're sharing your art with, or who your target audience is, essentially, right? So for the longest time, if you're a graphic designer, you're selling to brands, essentially, or to ad agencies. That's the demographic you're looking for, even if you know that it's going to be distributed for a lot of people. But because of say new mediums, the NFT space and all that, you get to directly interact with a new generation of people. You get to
Whatever
expose
is
your art.
happening with the AI now, it's more like of something like what we call it, like hobbyistic people in general, who always become some kind of a new hobby. Like, for example, if you knew when the whole boom happened in the pandemic time, a lot of people picked up on the virtual shows, and a lot of people, designers, I'm talking from the designer's perspective, a lot of people started working on Unreal Engine. Like it picked really well. And now if you see, when everything is back to normal, it all back to like the regular workflows again. So I think AI is also playing the same kind of a role here. And from a creator's perspective, it's good and bad both ways. Like, for me, it can help me to create multiple iterations what client asks in general. A lot of times, like where I work with the mediums like 3D and stuff, I don't have enough time to render those stuff like in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Rather, I upload it to any software like that, and then it gives me 4 options of that. So that way, it's a like really good tool for me in general. But it's not gonna take over in that way, because if you certain jobs can be only done by like a specialist, as what Aaron and Adi has covered in like most of things they have covered in that way. So that is not going to be replaced, because what human labor can do, AI won't be able to do that for sure. I think.
Yeah, I think it's like a bonus, like, Takashi Murakami will, sit in the studio and do like, complete original works for his show at Gagosian. But there's also, the generative flowers series, which, it's literally generative. Same with Tristan Eaton, he can make all the collages and do shows in LA. And, he's also got the, 999 drop of Gemma as, generative art. So, it's just like this add-on, it's a bonus. Yeah.
Loving the name drop, Adi. Just to extend that a little further. Okay, we're down to the last 5 minutes of the show here. What I'd love to do now is if each of you could address the artists that are watching this show right now. What are the top 2 or 3 things you tell them It could be something from your journey or something to do with how they enter the Web3 space. You could maybe give a shout out to Edao. I don't know either of these, but the the point is, if you knew, you know a lot now because of your journey in the space. What is it that you tell them? We'll start with kidsquidy.
I think it's more than anything, it's patience and consistency. Patience, why? Because I get this message, this main message every day. Like, how do I get into this brand? How do I make this brand work with this brand? How do I make money? How do I do this? How do I do that? Right? All based around money and like working with the brand, right? I always tell them, I come back and I say, bro, build your skill, like be consistent with your brand, make your develop your voice, and in the end they will come to you. You don't have to go to them. And that's pretty much what I've done for the better part of this whole journey that I've been on. And that's taken me into this whole NFT world, and it's given me a good voice to showcase my work in this space. Like I'm not like everybody else. I believe I'm unique in that space, and that's why I can break through that crowd in that space. So patience and being consistent would be like the best thing. And like also shout out to Edao, because this whole collaboration with like the new and the young, like I'm old at this point. Just taking that, just trying to do this collab in general, like it's a cool, like I wouldn't have thought about it in general.
And we were thinking about it a lot. We always thought let's start on something, but we were never able to put it together, because for us, like it was for just our own thing, but like always we delayed, and we got this opportunity.
And I think it's worked out really well. And like just in general, seeing the work that's been coming out all this time, and using one set of skills and then applying it to another set of skills, and that is AI generative art at this point, what you all are trying to do. So I think it's
Awesome.
a great initiative in general. So like overall, that would be my takeaway from this whole journey.
Thanks, man. We will keep it up. Thank you. Blink it up. What advice would you give up and coming artists who are looking at this?
I'll just say that like exactly the same thing, like as artists, like in this time, everybody wants things to be a little more quicker. Like patience is a very important thing, and like you have to be patient enough to like do your own art and just like develop it to the core. And don't be shy to express yourself or like whatever kind of art form. Like a lot of times people think, oh, I made this not that great or something. Like it can be anything, it's art towards the end of the day. It's a very subjective thing. So you should feel free to express it and like put it up and show it to people in whatever ways you can, and be consistent enough. Like I'm not saying sit every day on it, like at least like keep consistency to that particular things, and like it will happen whatever you want from your art itself, I believe.
Amazing. Adi?
Yeah, I think for me it's like it's difficult to find your voice and hone your craft as an artist because of the oversaturation that's there. It's easily get distracted, and then like this anxiety builds up. Oh my god, like like complex, that am I good enough, or I don't know what I'm doing, or where's my space in this, and like what's my style and all that. I think it's like sometimes good to just like switch off, and if it's like get off Insta. There's so much context switching happening, and
I think first advice I really want to give is like get little away from the social media. And
guys, switch off this live session now, guys.
little be consistent with your art first, and then like try to think how to promote that, because it's a very big distraction for sure, and it creates a very big anxiety. That is definitely, but it's more helpful, like that will push you to make more art, I believe.
Yeah, basically, like sometimes it's good to just switch off and go in your own zone, in your flow state, and just like create, and like just give that time to like simmer, and then you have like all the time in the world to blast it out, and like do whatever the fuck you want, and like let it go everywhere, let people see it, so you're less anxious that way, so I think
Nice.
artists need to give themselves time to like be patient, as Aaron said, and give it time and not panic. And yeah, I think it's
Awesome.
difficult to do in this world. It's difficult to do, but I think it becomes easier when you sort of like spend less time online, switch off, or like
But even
Absolutely.
like the whole, I mean, touching back to the first point that we came with people, I used to look at him in college. Like, he was just an artist who, like, I was like, oh, wow, this guy's just putting out art every day.
Yeah.
And no one really thought that he's going to, like, whatever's going to happen. And then seeing, I guess after 10, I don't know how many years, but like that bomb of like 69 million, whatever that went for. I'm not saying every artist gets that or will get that or whatever. It's just great to see, someone who was doing it for so long get that payoff. And I don't think anyone ever had any hate. There's always a lot of haters on that point. But there was so much of respect for him. Like he did it. He made it. And that's the patience and consistency that that I also try to apply. And a lot of us, I think all the artists on this collective also is in that vibe on Ninja. So yeah.
Beautiful. It's there's a saying that goes, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? I think that's kind of what the People incident essentially did. A bit of a tidal wave that I thought was really good for digital art in general, and it was a
There was
delight
a
to
funny
watch.
story when People's wife was in labor. He was making his dailies at that particular time, and he's like, "Just
Yeah, I mean,
5 minutes."
in 5 minutes he did that even on that day, right? So it blows my mind, that kind of consistency. My piece of advice, my 2 cents for the artists that are watching is, because I've had the privilege of watching so many artists enter the Web3 space, and especially during the pandemic, I personally know at least a dozen artists who switched over from doing art part-time to making this their life's work, and that is a delight to watch. And the 2 pieces of advice that I would give is, one is to give before you take, and 2 is to find your tribe. Give before you take is, you don't have to buy into the false narrative of scarcity. There's a lot more from you, so don't be afraid to give first, and sort of not to collectors or in general, right, to expose yourself a little bit, share as much art as you can first before you think about monetizing it. That's the first step. And second is, find your tribe, because the NFT space, the Web3 space, is still small. It's a relatively small community. You can reach out to an artist that you admire, and they will ping back, share your work, start a conversation. It doesn't have to be a lonely journey at all. This relationship between Blinkitup and kidsquidy is the perfect example of things like that, right? Reach out to an artist that you admire, find your tribe, and that would be a great first step into a new world. So with that, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This was an absolute pleasure. I look forward to avidly following all your work in the Web3 space and out of it. Thanks so much again.
Thanks, Anand.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Aditya.
Thanks, Alex.